Good morning. This is Cindy Eriks with Eriks Environmental Consulting, and I come to you this morning with some major concerns about inspectors in our industry, fraudulent people out there, unscrupulous people out there, and I just want you to be aware, please. In the state of Florida, if you look at the 468 statutes, a mold assessor assesses, inspects, tests, writes a protocol on a property, and a licensed mold remediator performs the protocol. One company, one individual cannot perform both on a project. Now, there are individuals out there, and I can't name any names, but I need you to be aware. You need you to be aware. Because what will happen, here's a very typical scenario. You'll get a hold of this person, you'll schedule an appointment for a mold inspection, mold assessment, mold testing, whatever it is that you're asking for, or they tell you they're going to do. They'll usually charge around $525. Of course, that number is going to be subject to change now, especially as I put this video out there. And they'll come to your home or your commercial space, and they will take pictures and take samples. I just question the validity of some of the samples sometimes, because I'm seeing some really odd things. I'm not saying for certain, but it could be that they even bring mold with them to get in the samples, to contaminate the samples. I'm not sure about that, but it's kind of looking that way. And then they will provide you a quote-unquote report, and it won't really be a report. All it will be is a lab report and pictures. And then it will say something like, either it will say, or they will verbally tell you that it's not a protocol. It doesn't tell you what the cause of anything was. It doesn't tell you what materials must be removed and why. But it will just say, it'll just have a test, and it may even say you can't stay in the building, or you can't stay in certain rooms of the building. It varies a little bit. Anyway, the person will say, oh, you want a protocol report? Oh, that's another $600. Oh, that's another $750. If you have any sense of this happening, run the other way before you even engage this person. Additionally, the person will usually come back with that report plus a report or an estimate to clean your mold or remove your mold. That is illegal. It's just downright illegal. And I just recommend that you ask questions when you're speaking with your mold assessor, your state licensed mold assessor, and I recommend that you make a report to the Department of Business and Professional Regulation if you see people violating this. I frequently see companies working both sides, but I've never seen it so bad as we're starting to see it over and over and over again, 2 or 3 times weekly. And often the customer is left with a bill that they're not sure what to do with. They're not sure if they even really, truly have a mold problem. There's been instances where it's been reported there was a mold problem. The customer had the good sense to ask a second opinion, and we came in and found there wasn't a mold problem. I'm not saying that there's not mold problems, because a lot of times you can see them, but this company, this individual's really taking advantage. And I just recommend that you get a full understanding about what is legal and what is necessary and what is prudent and what is honest and what is right. And you're welcome to call us with any questions. This video is not intended to sell our services, but honestly, in Tallahassee, I really have only one other company I can recommend to you that's going to give you an honest and a complete assessment of your problem. Others, not like this person, but others are looking at properties and saying that there isn't a problem when we have already looked at it and know there's a problem. In one instance last year, this was the most grievous, and this was a company that's been in business for a very long time. And I've been in business 31 years next month, and I've been specializing in mold for 20 years this past March. And I've known this company my whole 20 years. my 20 plus years specializing in mold, and I used to respect the company. And I have seen their reports in one particular project, like I was just saying, where I inspected the property, knew certainly there was a mold problem. It was an apartment complex. We did the inspection for a tenant, so we could only do so much there because they didn't own the property. And we wrote it that they had an extensive mold problem. How deep it went, we weren't sure about. And so that apartment complex went and hired a company to come out. First company came out, and again, these people were also reputable. I thought were reputable anyway. And they came out and they said they didn't test, and they said, there's no mold problem there. And then the customer called me back and said that they said there's no problem. And I said, I don't understand. I know there's a problem there. And so they called back to the manager at the apartment complex, who called me and asked me to try to hire me to test this apartment. And I said, well, I've already tested that apartment. Have you seen my report? And so she hung up on me real quick. And then like a week later, I get a call from my customer. She says, oh, this other company went out, and this is another one that I've known about for more than 20 years that had a good reputation, had one of the best reputations, I thought. And they thought, actually, they thought a little more themselves possibly than they should, however. And they detected some really bad mold in the air sample. I saw the report, but yet they still said there wasn't a mold problem in this property. And I was so puzzled by this. And my customer had called me and said, look, here's the report. Like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know what to think. I know there's a mold problem in this apartment. So we hung up, and 2 months later, I got a call from a remediator saying, Cindy, we need a second inspection because we've started to open it up where you said there was a mold problem, and it's going much deeper. And so we need a second inspection to verify how deep. So we did. We went back out to that same property, that apartment. We inspected and realized it was also affecting the adjacent unit once they had the materials opened, well, sheetrock opened, which, by the way, if you have a mold problem, it's quite frequent. You're going to have hidden damage once they start opening up walls. There's going to be more damage. It's just the nature of it. So anyway, they had to end up getting approval to have the second apartment looked at, and don't you know it, that 98% of both of those units had to be gutted. The mold problem was so deep. Now here were two companies, supposedly reputable, that had looked at these places and said there was no problem at all. So you just really have to watch. You have to educate yourself. There's a lot of information out there, and I'll be glad to direct you to textbooks that aren't that texty, that are easier to read. Gary Rosen wrote 4 or 5 that are really, really good. And one of them, I think, is called The Great Mold Cover-Up, about schools, about mold in school systems in Florida, and just how they really get hidden. But anyway, just educate yourself. If you have questions, please feel free to ask us. You can reach us through our website, www.indoorairqualitymatters.com. Send us a message there, or just look around the website also, which you may have found this video on the website. Feel free to call us at 850-556-8888. We'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you, and God bless you, and have a great day.